If we ban you from ever teaching publicly again, will you comply?
I've also answered that previously as well.
Is that how you answer the Kohen Hagadol?
Everything just changed. And if you thought you were ready for The Chosen Season 6, this trailer proves you're not. The first Episode 1 footage doesn't tease comfort or hope. It warns us. What's coming is heavier, darker, and far more personal than anything the series has ever attempted. A new crucifixion moment has been revealed, and it reframes the entire season before it even begins. This isn't build-up anymore. This is impact. The Season 6 Episode 1 trailer makes one thing painfully clear right away. There is no easing into this chapter of the story. The weight hits immediately. From the very first moments, the tone is stripped of safety, stripped of distance. This is not a symbolic retelling or a softened version meant to protect the viewer. This is the beginning of the end, and the trailer wants you to feel that truth settle into your chest. There is an overwhelming sense of inevitability hanging over everything. Every look, every pause, every breath feels heavy with what we already know is coming. The new crucifixion imagery revealed here doesn't rely on spectacle. It relies on emotion. It's not graphic for shock value. It's devastating because of what it represents, and because of how close the show places us to the suffering. You're not watching history from a distance anymore. You're standing inside it, powerless to stop it. What makes this trailer hit differently is how grounded it feels. Jesus is not presented as distant or untouchable. He is exhausted. He is burdened. He is fully aware of what lies ahead, and that awareness shows in his silence more than any words ever could. The trailer leans into that silence. It lets moments breathe, and in doing so, it forces the audience to sit with discomfort. The new crucifixion scene doesn't arrive as a climax. It arrives as a warning, a reminder that Season 6 is not about victory yet. It's about obedience, surrender, and unbearable loss. You can sense that this season is less concerned with explaining theology and more focused on exposing the cost of love. The disciples feel closer than ever, and that closeness makes everything hurt more. These aren't background figures reacting to prophecy. These are people we've spent years with. We know their voices, their fears, their faith. And in this trailer, we begin to see the cracks forming. Confidence gives way to confusion. Courage collides with fear. Loyalty is tested by survival instinct. No one knows how to act because no one wants to believe this is truly happening. The trailer captures that emotional dissonance perfectly. There is movement, urgency, and tension, but underneath it all is denial. The kind of denial that whispers, maybe there's another way. But we know there isn't. The newly revealed crucifixion moment is especially haunting because of its restraint. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it simply exists, heavy and unavoidable. It reframes the cross not as a single event, but as a shadow stretching backward into every moment of Episode 1. Even before nails and wood, the suffering has already begun. Every choice Jesus makes in this trailer feels final. Every step feels measured. He isn't reacting, he's accepting. And that acceptance is what makes it so hard to watch. There is no fight left in him. Not because he is weak, but because this is the path he chose. What Season 6 Episode 1 promises through this trailer is honesty. Brutal honesty. The kind that doesn't allow viewers to look away or stay emotionally neutral. This is not a season designed for casual watching. It demands attention. It demands reflection. And most of all, it demands that we feel the weight of what the cross actually means, not as an idea, but as a lived human experience. The trailer doesn't ask if you're ready. It assumes you're not, and it moves forward anyway. Season 6 is making a promise that feels almost unsettling in its boldness. This will be the most brutal, most honest, and most devastating chapter of The Chosen so far. And the Episode 1 trailer doesn't try to soften that truth. There is a noticeable shift in how the story is being told. Earlier seasons allowed space for warmth, humor, and small moments of peace between the characters. Here, that comfort is almost entirely gone. What replaces it is tension that never fully releases. Even in quieter moments, there's a sense that something terrible is pressing in from all sides. The brutality isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's the slow, crushing realization that the story is moving toward a place of irreversible loss. The honesty of this season shows in how suffering is portrayed. The trailer doesn't romanticize pain or dress it up in inspirational language. It shows fear on the faces of the disciples. It shows exhaustion etched into Jesus' expression. It shows the ugliness of betrayal, not as a dramatic twist, but as something painfully human. People fail. They hesitate. They choose self-preservation over loyalty. And the trailer doesn't judge them for it. It simply shows the reality of what happens when faith collides with terror. That kind of honesty is rare, especially in faith-based storytelling, and it's what makes Season 6 feel so heavy before it has even begun. What's truly devastating is how personal everything feels. The trailer makes it clear that this season isn't focused on large crowds or grand speeches. It's focused on relationships breaking under pressure. Every glance between Jesus and his followers feels loaded with unspoken emotion. There's love there, deep love, but also helplessness. They can't save him. They can barely understand him, and he knows that. That knowledge sits between them like a wall. The trailer allows us to see that distance grow, and it hurts because we know how close they once were. The story isn't just moving toward the cross, it's moving toward separation, confusion, and silence. The brutality also comes from inevitability. No matter how desperately the characters want things to turn out differently, the outcome is already set. The trailer leans into that tragic awareness. Jesus walks forward with purpose, while everyone around him is scrambling, reacting, and trying to regain control. That contrast is devastating. He is at peace with what must happen, while the people who love him are unraveling. The honesty of that dynamic makes the suffering feel earned, not manufactured. This isn't tragedy for shock value. This is tragedy rooted in love, obedience, and sacrifice. Season 6 also feels more devastating because it refuses to offer immediate hope. The trailer doesn't rush to reassure the audience with glimpses of resurrection or victory. It stays in the darkness. It lingers in the night. It allows grief to exist without resolution. That choice is bold and it's uncomfortable, but it's also deeply respectful of the story being told. By refusing to look ahead, the season forces us to sit fully in the moment of loss, just as the characters must, and that's what makes it hit so hard. This isn't a season meant to inspire first, it's a season meant to break us open before anything can be healed. The Season 6 Episode 1 trailer reveals a turning point that feels impossible to ignore. This is the moment where the story crosses a line it can never step back from. There is a darkness here that isn't exaggerated or theatrical. It's quiet, heavy, and unflinching. The trailer doesn't rely on chaos to communicate danger. Instead, it uses stillness, hesitation, and long pauses to show us that everything is about to change. This is no longer the story of a growing movement. This is the story of a collapse, one that happens slowly enough for us to feel every crack forming beneath the surface. What makes this turning point so powerful is how deliberately it's portrayed. The trailer strips away any sense of safety the audience might still be holding on to. Jesus is no longer moving freely among the people. Every interaction feels watched, measured, and tense. Authority closes in, not all at once, but through quiet decisions made behind closed doors. You can feel the pressure building as political fear, religious pride, and personal insecurity begin to intersect. The danger doesn't come from one villain or a single dramatic moment. It comes from systems aligning against truth, from people choosing control over compassion. The trailer is unflinching in how it presents this shift. There is no attempt to justify the actions of those turning against Jesus, but there is an unsettling clarity in showing how easily injustice takes shape. Words are twisted, silence is weaponized, motives are disguised as righteousness, and Jesus stands at the center of it all, fully aware, yet refusing to resist in the ways everyone expects. That refusal is what makes this turning point so dark. He could speak, he could defend himself, he could disrupt the entire process, but he doesn't. And in that restraint, the weight of what's happening becomes almost unbearable. For the disciples, this turning point feels like betrayal by the world they trusted. The trailer shows their confusion in subtle ways. They don't know when to speak, when to act, or when to run. Their expectations of how this story should unfold are being dismantled in real time. The Messiah they believed would save them through power is choosing surrender instead. That realization is terrifying. It forces them to confront not only the danger around them, but the limits of their own faith. The trailer allows us to feel that internal struggle without spelling it out, making the emotional impact even stronger. This is the moment where hope becomes fragile. Not absent, but fragile. The trailer doesn't deny that something greater is at work, but it refuses to comfort us with certainty. Everything feels exposed, raw, vulnerable. The darkness revealed here isn't just external opposition, it's doubt, it's fear. It's the painful understanding that obedience doesn't always look like victory in the moment. This turning point marks the end of innocence for everyone involved, including the audience. Once you see this trailer, you understand that Season 6 isn't asking you to watch passively. It's asking you to walk into the darkness and stay there, trusting that meaning will come later, even when nothing makes sense right now. What makes Season 6 of The Chosen feel like it might become the most powerful faith series ever made is not its scale, its budget, or even its historical accuracy. It's the courage to tell this part of the story without filters. The Episode 1 trailer makes it clear that this season is not trying to protect the audience from discomfort. Instead, it invites us to confront the cost of faith in its rawest form. This isn't a version of belief that fits neatly into inspirational quotes or uplifting moments. This is faith that survives betrayal, silence, and apparent defeat. And that honesty is what gives the season its power. The trailer shows a Jesus who is unwavering, not because circumstances are favorable, but because obedience matters more than outcome. That message is subtle, but it's deeply unsettling. Most faith stories focus on visible triumphs. Season 6 seems determined to focus on surrender instead. Watching Jesus walk forward knowing exactly what awaits him reframes everything we think we understand about strength. His power is not shown through dominance or escape, but through restraint, compassion, and a willingness to endure suffering for the sake of others. That kind of portrayal doesn't just tell a story, it challenges the viewer personally. What elevates this season even further is how it treats the people around Jesus. The trailer doesn't turn the disciples into symbols or archetypes. They remain painfully human. They love deeply, but they falter. They want to be brave, but fear overwhelms them. And instead of condemning their weakness, the story allows it to exist honestly. That honesty makes their journey relatable in a way that traditional faith storytelling often avoids. It reminds us that faith isn't about never failing. It's about what happens after failure, even when redemption feels impossibly far away. Season 6 also stands out because it trusts the audience. The trailer doesn't explain every emotion or spell out every moral lesson. It allows silence to carry meaning. It allows grief to linger. It allows unanswered questions to remain unanswered. That trust creates space for reflection rather than consumption. You're not just watching events unfold. You're being asked to sit with them, to wrestle with them, to feel their weight. That kind of engagement transforms a series from entertainment into experience. If this trailer is any indication, Season 6 won't just be remembered for how it depicts the crucifixion. It will be remembered for how it prepares us for it emotionally and spiritually. By the time the cross fully comes into view, we won't just understand what is happening. We'll feel why it matters. And that is why this season has the potential to transcend the genre entirely. It's not just telling a faith story. It's asking what faith costs when there is no immediate reward, no visible victory, and no guarantee of understanding. That question alone makes Season 6 something truly extraordinary. Season 6, Episode 1 is shaping up to be more than just the start of a new chapter. It feels like a moment of reckoning, both for the characters and for the audience. The trailer makes it clear that once this season begins, there is no turning back to the lighter tone of earlier episodes. Everything that happens from here on is moving with purpose toward the cross. The new crucifixion elements revealed in the trailer don't exist to shock or overwhelm. They exist to remind us that this story is rooted in sacrifice, and that sacrifice always comes with a cost that ripples outward, touching everyone connected to it. What's especially powerful is how the trailer frames suffering as something shared. Jesus carries the weight of what is coming, but the people who love him carry it too, each in their own way. Fear isolates them. Guilt follows them. Silence separates them. The trailer shows us that the pain of the crucifixion doesn't begin at the cross. It begins the moment hope starts slipping through their fingers. Watching that unfold is deeply unsettling because it mirrors real human experience. Loss rarely arrives all at once. It creeps in, slowly dismantling certainty until nothing feels solid anymore. The emotional intensity promised here comes from familiarity. We know these characters, we've laughed with them, we've watched them grow in faith and confidence, and now we're being asked to watch them face the darkest night of their lives. The trailer leans into that contrast, making every moment feel heavier because of what came before. This isn't tragedy happening to strangers, it's happening to people we care about. That connection is what gives Season 6 its devastating power. By the time Episode 1 ends, it's clear that the series is no longer building toward possibility. It's walking straight into purpose. The trailer doesn't rush to offer comfort or reassurance. Instead, it challenges the viewer to stay present even when the story becomes painful. That choice is bold, and it's what sets Season 6 apart. It respects the gravity of the story enough to let it hurt. This season isn't asking whether the crucifixion matters. It's asking whether we're willing to truly face it. To see it not as a distant religious symbol, but as a moment that shattered lives, tested faith, and demanded everything. If the Episode 1 trailer is any indication, Season 6 will not be easy to watch, but it may be one of the most meaningful viewing experiences this series has ever offered. The Season 6 Episode 1 trailer ultimately leaves us with a feeling that's hard to shake long after it ends. This is not anticipation in the usual sense. It's not excitement mixed with curiosity. It's a quiet heaviness, a sense that we're being led toward something sacred and painful at the same time. The trailer doesn't rush to promise resolution or relief. Instead, it prepares us for endurance. It reminds us that the story of the cross is not meant to be consumed quickly or comfortably. It's meant to be carried. And Season 6 seems fully committed to making us carry that weight alongside the characters. What makes this final impression so powerful is how intentional everything feels. Nothing in the trailer seems accidental or exaggerated. Every moment feels chosen, restrained, and purposeful. The newly revealed crucifixion imagery doesn't exist to shock the viewer. It exists to ground the story in reality. It forces us to confront the physical and emotional cost of what is coming without offering escape. By doing this in Episode 1, the season establishes its tone early. There will be no detours, no shortcuts around suffering. Only a steady movement forward, step by step, toward the inevitable. The trailer also makes it clear that this season is about watching faith be tested in its most fragile form. Not triumphant faith, not confident faith, but faith that exists when everything familiar is stripped away. The disciples are no longer walking confidently behind their teacher. They are scattered, uncertain, and afraid. And yet, their love for Jesus doesn't disappear, even when their courage does. That tension between love and fear is at the heart of what makes this season so emotionally devastating. It reminds us that belief is not proven in moments of safety, but in moments of loss. By the time the trailer ends, there is a clear understanding that Season 6 is asking something of its audience. It's asking for patience, it's asking for emotional honesty, and it's asking for a willingness to sit in darkness without immediately reaching for hope as a way to escape discomfort. The hope will come, but not yet. For now, the story demands reverence, attention, and humility. This is not just another season of The Chosen. This is the season where everything slows down. everything deepens, and everything begins to hurt in ways that feel unavoidably real. And that is exactly why it may become the most unforgettable chapter the series has ever told.